everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Collecting Essential Mobile Data for eDiscovery Today. I'm Michelle Durenberger, and I am the Field Marketing Manager here at Cellebrite Enterprise Solutions. Before we get started, there are a few notes that we'd like to review. We are recording the webinar today, and we'll share an on-demand version after the webinar is complete. Now, if you have any questions, please submit them in the question window, and we will answer them in the Q&A. Now, if we don't have time to get to your question today, we will follow up with you after. Now, I'd like to introduce our fabulous speaker, Angie Jacobs. Now, for those of you that don't know, Angie enjoys the challenges that come with complex litigation, focusing on digital forensics and eDiscovery. He has spent the past 10 years consulting law firms, service providers, and enterprises as an expert witness in digital forensics. As a man for others, he assesses the needs of his clients to provide critical feedback to posture them for success. He believes that management and preservation of data is a critical component to a legal team's arsenal. Andy now resides in Denver, Colorado, and can be found enjoying the mountains or the wonderful food scene around the state. Wherever he may be, he will be supporting his Ohio State Buckeyes and, of course, pestering his wife. Thank you so much for joining us today, Andy. And if you're ready, I'll hand it over to you so we can get started.
Hey, thanks, Michelle. Happy to be here. So a few weeks ago, I was at ILTA, and I wanted to put this little webinar together based on some feedback that I got from ILTA. A few of the big topics there, and the one I'm going to focus on today was eDiscovery in general. There's a lot of topics: generative AI, mobile data, deep dive forensics. I'm focusing on eDiscovery today because I have a small, there's a spot in my heart, if you will, for eDiscovery. The world has changed so much in regards to eDiscovery, and even the past 15 years. When I started the industry, eDiscovery and forensics were kind of two different things, if you will. And now it seems they're the same coin, just two different sides. We have these service providers, enterprises, and law firms all trying to get data in a defensible manner and review that in their review platform, whatever that might be. We'll say Relativity or whatever. I think that's probably the big one right now. We've seen that 85% of the population has a smartphone. That's worldwide. And in the US, 90% of adults have a smartphone. Now, data just seems to be everywhere anymore. And what's relevant for your matter, what might not be relevant for another matter. Being that mobile phones are, like I said, pretty much everywhere, it seems, I can pull my Office 365 data, my Slack data. I can send emails. I can go on Facebook, all from a computer in my pocket. And depending what your case might need, I have a feeling some data might live there. So I was playing around, and it looked like in 2013, that was the first time smartphone sales surpassed feature phones. I'm almost curious if this was the change when eDiscovery and forensics really started to be more hand in hand. Like you said, we have that tablet, we have our smartphones. When I was at ILTA, everyone seemed to be on a tablet, kind of working, but kind of still enjoying the show, learning, going to their conferences or going to their meetings. But everyone was on something because work never really stops. I think that was the big change, 2013. It used to be just loose documents and paper documents as well, but loose documents and email from computers. We didn't really see a lot in mobile phones on the eDiscovery side. It was always forensics. Now, though, we are saying communication can be everywhere. Slack data, Signal data, messaging back and forth. Whether that be for work, not for work, whatever. I think we've all seen that there's a need for this data in our litigation, and I'm kind of guessing that's why some of you joined me today. At least enough to join this webinar and maybe think kick the tires and see what we actually might be looking at for eDiscovery data. Seen a lot, mostly just messages, a lot of email, a lot of, I'm leaving my company and I'm going to try to solicit someone to come with me, or taking some screenshots off my phone. A 2024 industry trend highlighted that 97% of cases now involve mobile phone data. It's huge. What kind of data are we looking at? I think what kind of data we're looking at really depends on the scope of our case. That's one of our biggest challenges, right? Is where is this data? Where does it live? If it lives with me, I'm going on vacation in a few days. Shout out, we're going to Alaska. It's going to be awesome. I don't know if I'm coming back. Can't wait. And then it's gonna be fall and it's gonna be wonderful. I'm out here in Denver and I cannot wait for it to get to beanie season and college football season. Go Bucks. So if I need to collect my phone and I'm gonna be gone here in a few days, and a service provider is not going to stop me on that one. Been looking forward to this trip for a while. That's a challenge that our service providers, our law firms, and our enterprise corporations are running into. The data lives on Andy's phone. We know he's going somewhere else. How do we get that data? It needs to be cost effective. It needs to pull what we need. And we need to make sure we have a happy custodian, so they're not, raging up a storm. What are we getting with some of these collections? That's another challenge that we run into. We don't want pictures of Andy on a cruise. You might, I might post some on LinkedIn. You want text messages that is on Andy's phone. Maybe some documents, maybe some email if they live there. What are we getting with these collections, and how can we make it efficient? I'm a big fan of remote collections. I have been for quite some time. Send an email, collect what you need, send it to your S3 bucket. Can you imagine? I could be doing that at the airport. And then we'll say you're the law firm today. You're going to throw that in your review platform again. Maybe it's Relativity. Maybe it's something fun. You want to see your buttons. You want to see your bubbles of me texting Michelle back and forth on here's the weather in Anchorage. Everyone wants to see what it looks like on the phone. That's another challenge. We were saying, a few years ago, data sets have changed. It used to be forensic investigations. It used to be Excel sheets and PDFs and link files, all this fun stuff. Now we just want a large-scale review of messages. Depending who you are, all these cases are different, right? Are you the internal corporation that's trying to work with legal and make sure you're just under compliance? Are you the law firm tasked with collecting and reviewing a bunch of data? Whether it be Andy's one-off or is it a class action lawsuit? Are you the service provider? You're the expert trying to collect all of this data and maybe do an investigation as well as the review. You all have different things going on, but you're all kind of doing the same thing, right? Let's collect some data and let's get it so the powers can review it and make sure it's good to go. My last little bubble here is on compliance, because this one has been coming up quite a bit too. And this goes with me at ILTA when we've had internal law firm or law teams from corporations coming up and saying, hey, we need to make sure our IP is set, make sure we're safe. We have people all over the country. It's a hybrid environment anymore. Some people are in office, some people don't ever go to office. Some kind of go back and forth. Say you have an employee departure and I'm sure you already have a plan for collecting email. I'm sure you have a plan for collecting that workstation. But what about the phone? Is it their phone? Is it a bring your own device? Is it a company phone? I think some people are gonna have more fun being able to collect targeted data sets. And I say fun, an easier time collecting those targeted data sets if it's a bring your own device compared to pulling that full device image, that full acquisition, that full file system, and data that is not really relevant. I did a previous webinar a few months ago in regards to data size is just growing. And I still believe, and that was one of the things we discussed at ILTA as well, with data sets growing, lawyers and attorneys and review folks and you, Mr. Enterprise, aren't going to be able to dig through millions of different haystacks when you can just target maybe the one haystack that might have your needle. Sure you can. Sure, there's AI out there, like we discussed in the very first slide, that I'm not discussing today. Sure, there's review teams out there that can go through a bunch of data and help you out. Our review platforms have quite a bit of algorithms to see what might be more relevant than others. But if we're just looking at text messages today, I don't need Andy's picture album. I just need maybe that SMS DB. I think with compliance, we're really going to want to have a plan. And we already have plans for some things. So we already have, like we said, plans for computer, plans for email. But what's our plan for mobile devices? The biggest challenge I had as a service provider was being everywhere at once. Let's face it, it's all really about timing. And if you're implementing a program, is the headache of data collection really worth that risk, worth that reward? We're all busy, we all travel, and no one wants me or a service provider or a law firm to go in or go sit at HR for hours to collect a phone, or send me your phone today, I'll get it back to you once the collection is complete. Is that a scare for some folks? Is that why we're not implementing some things on mobile devices? Is this that it's inconvenient? I think we can make that pretty convenient. I think we can schedule it to where at the convenience of your custodian, hey, plug in a device, here's what we're getting. Go grab lunch. Go watch a little bit of the game. Go to bed. Come back, pick up your phone. It'll be done. All from the power of your house, all from the power of your office, maybe your law firm. Let's collect what we need to collect. I mentioned I did a webinar a few months ago, and I loved it because we discussed just how data sizes are massive. When we talk about the convenience and timing for our challenges, I think if we can pinpoint what we need to get more off the bat, it's probably going to help. My 2 cents, maybe 3 cents with inflation. Collections will be quicker. Custodians aren't going to be annoyed for collecting non-relevant data, personal data on their devices, especially if it's a bring your own device. When I started, it used to be UFED. It was the premier tool, the Cellebrite product. This was 10, 11 years ago when I was starting. And it always was that phone in hand, never a remote acquisition, never a good way to pull what we need. It's everything or nothing, or as much as we can or nothing. Used to go to boardrooms, used to go get called for depositions and fly across the country and try to collect a device sitting right there. Gosh, service providers, you've all been there. We've all been to someone's house to collect something. And it's kind of awkward, isn't it? And they stand over your shoulder or, you kind of do ideal chit chat. What are you collecting? Oh, I don't have anything on here. That's fine, sir. I'm just here to collect some data and get out of your hair. Or, like we said, maybe you drop it off at the lab. Now, someone needs to drive to me. I get chain of custody. I'm not letting you in my lab. Sorry, you can sit in the waiting room, and I'm going to have your phone for quite some time till it's done. These ways are quite disruptive in daily lives and people being busy, people even willing to be cooperative in the first place, giving over a phone. So I said, previously, I'm a big fan of the remote collection. Let me send you an email, plug in your phone, let's call it a day. I think a lot of this knocks out our security concerns and our compliance in the last slide. IP theft is everywhere. We all know it. It's a big thing in litigation. It's easier now than ever. When sure things are more locked down with security on a device, we'll say. But there's more devices out there. Not just emailing yourself maybe some intellectual property or throwing in a USB drive to take the intellectual property. Why do that when I have it all on my phone? I can access anything off my phone, my Dropbox, my company this, my company that. Then we have our solicitation. Those messages of, hey, I'm leaving, come work with me. Or, hey, I'm long gone, but you don't like the company anyways. Send me some information. Maybe, let's be sneaky about this. I'm hoping that if you're listening right now and chatting with me, especially you, Mr. Enterprise team, have a procedure for preservation of data. Have a procedure for your mobile phone data. Just an SOP that says if X happens, we do Y. We discussed previously some of our real world challenges. Some we didn't discuss would be different phones, different makes, different models, different MDMs. Is it Android? Is it iPhone? Where is this data and where does this live? I've been seeing a lot of the, hey, can we just collect some messages and throw it into Relativity for review, along with the custodian's PST file, along with the custodian's Outlook, along with Slack, along with, with all these messaging applications, the full world of Andy in one little tab. If that's what your case requires, I can't see why not. Target what you need, send it where you need to go. Mr. Service Provider, you might not be needing that case. You might be doing an accident case, traffic accident. And that's going to be a little bit different for you. That's absolutely going to be a pull the full phone. Let's see, screen time and app time and usage. Every case is a little bit different. You guys are the experts. You know what you need. You know where to look. You know where to find. I'm sure I have some lit support folks with me today. I think you're the unsung heroes. Probably trapped in the closet right now, collecting email to be loaded into Relativity by right now. Hats off to you guys. You work your butts off. Again, though, we're going to need a plan on what are we collecting, where's it going, what are we doing with this data, what happens if there's an issue, what happens if something doesn't parse. Always got to have a plan. I was talking with a CISO at ILTA from a service provider, and that was the one big thing that they came back with was have a plan. Even if it is a remote collection, maybe a cord isn't working, how are we troubleshooting? Maybe it is an on-site collection and the MDM is just not playing well. What are we going to do? Have a plan. Different collection methods require different workflows. Different phones require different workflows. For my folks here, like we said, if they're a service provider, law firm, enterprise, you're still using the same tools. You're still collecting the same types of data, but you might have different workflows for your environment. Have a plan. Part of that plan is standardization. Make sure you're trained. Make sure you know what's kind of going on, up to date. New applications come out all the time. Say I'm collecting Signal today. I'm going to need a full file system. Say I'm collecting something else today. Maybe it's just SMSDB. Maybe I can just do that remotely. Really depends, again, on that phone. Or I know my enterprise will have an MDM installed. Okay, litigation happens. My plan is instantly put these on lit hold. Maybe your Intune MDM has a different setting that says, I'm only allowing this for right now. And then after my support team's done, I'm going to email InfoSec and say, hey, I collected my 15 phones. You can switch their profile back. That's part of your plan. That's part of your workflow. I love my service provider guys. Like I said, service provider for quite a few years. You all have workflows for everything. Parsing, collections. What kind of collection is it? Your project managers for Relativity have workflows on literally everything is documented. And it's a brilliant thing to see because that way it's defensible. That way we can come back and say, yes, I did this. Here it is written out on my SOP. Have your plan. a lot of that plan could be around targeting data, if that's part of your plan. Shout out to me again for my old webinar. We discussed how big data is getting, and I'm sticking to that fact. If you're an attorney or you're on review, do you really need to see the same data sets over and over and over again? There's things like deduping. That's been around for quite some time. There's things like targeting just the user profile. We don't need any deleted data for this case. It's not relevant. On the mobile phone side, let's just collect messages. We want to see who Andy's talking to and about what. We don't care about Andy's vacation. I do. Andy's very excited about his vacation, clearly. We don't care about the ESPN app for his fantasy football league. We care who he's talking to and why. Maybe there's a pointer in there that says where he's storing some data. Who knows? Again, it could just be for preservation. Andy's retiring. He doesn't need the data anyways. Take it. Yeah, maybe he's never come back from Alaska. We'll see. We'll do that. Yeah, this next webinar will be from Alaska. I love it. Or a beach. Beach sounds good. So why collect a lot of data and rack up charges depending on your platform? Rack up hours depending on what you need to review when we can target certain things, streamline certain things. That goes back to that plan, that procedure. Let's collect data. Let's put it somewhere where you, the smart folks, can review. You, the people going and fighting in litigation, can review and say, boom, here's my needle in the haystack. Or, hey, we did our due diligence. I collected 50 phones all remotely, all using this standard. None of them have what we're looking for. This case is wild. Streamline things that you need. What are we going to get? If it's, say, RSMF, which is a beautiful, beautiful format. I'm going to put that into Relativity. I'm going to put it right next to my PST file and put it right next to my workstation user docs. We're going to try to get for speed and accuracy. I need it to be right. I need it to be done quick. Also need a drink. eDiscovery professionals work with so much data. You guys are crazy. Multiple cases going at the same time, different instances, different everything. What are we collecting today? What are we reviewing today? Are we using machine learning? Are we using any algorithms to try to speed this up? Everything's different for you guys, and you guys go through a ton of it. If you're external like a service provider and you're doing all that, wonderful. High five to you guys. Same thing if you're a law firm. A lot of my law firms have we'll say Relativity 1 in-house. Easy to use, nice to set up. Someone else can manage it. All you need to do is log in, review your stuff. Let's say you are a corporation. You are an enterprise where people come and go. Litigation happens all the time. Maybe we need to collect groups of data sets. All of HR today and maybe tomorrow's all of IT. Two different needs, two different litigations. Build your SOP. Make sure you have a plan that if A happens, we do B. If C happens, we go to plan D. Your service providers do this all the time. Your law firms have a plan. I'm hoping for my enterprises here with me today and my corporations, my companies, have a plan for your mobile data. A lot of that goes with choosing the right tools. You have a toolbox, I'm sure, at home. You have a garage full of tools for your car. Maybe not. I'm honestly not handy with a car. The wife, on the other hand, brilliant. Me, I could change my oil. Invest in the right tools. Tools that work, tools that are quick, tools that are defensible, and tools that can streamline the process for you. Say, I'm collecting, again, Andy's text messages. I want to see the bubble format that they go in between him and Michelle, and I want to see that next to his PST file. Great. Let's collect some data. Let's throw it right to Relativity for you, all on one little streamline button click, if you will. Click button, email goes out. Brilliant. This goes back to some of our previous slides about some of the issues we're running into with data collections. Gone are the days of having the phone in lab. You might need to for some things. You might not need to for others. Invest in the right tools. Saves you time, saves you money in the long run. It's defensible. and everyone's familiar with them. Stay informed and keep up to date with the trends. Things change all the time. New phones come out, new tech comes out, new app comes out. Hopefully you see it, in a lab environment or in a review, a test environment prior to maybe running into that issue live, right? Someone else probably ran into it already. Look at your forums, look at your groups, stay up to date on webinars like this. There's a few of them out there. There's podcasts. I love them. I listen to them all the time. Stay up on your CLEs. Someone ran into this issue probably before you and live through their experiences, right? Let's stay informed. We're a team. We're all trying to do similar things. We're all trying to get data defensively, make sure it's reviewed, and we all want to talk about it. We want to have fun. I think finally, one thing I want to end on is mobile data really used to be a pain. Mobile data's gotten a lot of love recently. And I say recently, last 10 years. We'll say 9 years, 2013. That's when smartphones surpassed feature phones, when we had databases that we could start pulling through. Now we can collect remotely and build an RSMF instead of having phone in lab. RSMF is relativity short message format, by the way, which looks brilliant in the Relativity review platform. All your little bubbles and who's talking to who. Gone are those days where, though, it used to be phone in lab. You're not getting your phone back for hours. Cool, Mr. Attorney or Mr. whoever, Miss CISO, you want to review messages. Here's an Excel sheet that looks kind of dorky, or a PDF or an HTML. Mobile phone data has gotten quite a bit of love, and I think it's because there's a ton of data there. Like we said, it's always with you, and it accesses everything. We talked about some of our challenges. That's one of the things that I think has changed for the good for mobile phones, as well as our challenges. So where's that data? Is it personal or is it company owned? Do we need the full phone? Great, we have a plan for that. Do we just need a single database? Great, we have a plan for that. If a challenge is Andy's going on vacation and we need his phone, or Michelle's got a football game tonight, season starting, we can easily get around their schedule by doing a remote collection. By, hey, awesome, you're grabbing dinner at some point, plug your phone in, grab some food, come back. That's that single database we collected. It's collected and it's already in the hands of your attorney or your list support team or your HR team, or like I said, maybe it's just preservation. Don't need it for anything other than to hold it for policy. We need it for 3 months. So the challenge I see right now is just trying to be everywhere at once. And convenience. I'm a firm believer in workflows. Some of our best practices are based on workflows. Having a plan was one of the best things of advice at talking to folks at Delta. Be prepared, have your workflow, and know what your data, what you need to collect, how you're collecting it, and where is it going. Every case is different. Every need is different. Multiple plans. And that way I can always say, yes, I did it this way. Yes, hey, new guy, here's how you do it. Have a plan. Ongoing training and staying up to date is usually a must, right? I listen to some podcasts once a week, different friends like an eDiscovery podcast. There's a group of folks out there that are brilliantly smart and can actually explain it to laymen or not so smart people like myself. People have already ran into some of the issues that we're running into, right? Learn from their experience. Continuous improvement, continuous training, and as things change, data changes, technology changes, we evolve with it. So make sure you're staying up to speed, continuous learning, and updating your plans. I think that was going to be it for me. I do have a white paper on this, a few white papers, and I have my previous webinar already kind of posted if you need it. But that was it from me. Michelle, did we have any questions based on ILTA and some of the stuff we saw?
Absolutely. Andy, thank you so much for giving us that fantastic overview. And we did have a few questions that came in. So let me start with this one. Okay. So first question is, you mentioned that mobile phones have become more prominent in the e-discovery space recently, definitely getting some more love. Can you elaborate on this a little bit more?
I think so, yeah. I getting more love. Mobile phones used to be very forensic oriented, if you will. Not really on the e-discovery side of things. There was never really, especially when I first started, a good way for a layman to review mobile phone data. It was like you said, a kind of a goofy Excel sheet that was just kind of overwhelming. You had UFDRs, reader reports from Cellebrite. They were brilliant. But again, that's something else that maybe I need to load on a computer and review outside of a review platform. And finally, gosh, maybe it was, you're gonna want to fact check me on this one. Um, Maybe 5 or 6 years ago, RSMF came out, and we could finally get some load files off of mobile phones. And relatively short message format was brilliant. I could run search terms in Relativity on my phone collections. I compare those against other phone message conversations. So I think in regards to getting more love, especially on the e-discovery side, you no longer need to be in a lab with specialty tools to review phone data. You can have your service provider, you can have your law firm, you can have your infosec pull the phone and put it right to your review platform. Speaking relativity short message format, we'll stay with the relativity side of things. You pull your phone, go right to relativity, along with everything else. So it makes it nice and easy. Everything's in one spot, and it's got that awesome little bubble format that everyone is used to in regards to messages back and forth.
Perfect. Thank you, Andy. Okay,
Yeah,
we have some more questions that came in, and somebody said that they were actually just at ILTA and had a chance to walk by our booth.
nice.
Um, and collections of messaging is a priority of ours. They're the typical, I just need messages and I need them in a review platform. How do you pull data, and is it similar for iPhone and Android?
I love it. So here at Celebrate, we do have a tool called Endpoint Inspector. It is one of my favorite tools that we've had. I used it as a service provider for quite some time, and it's definitely your e-discovery collection method of choice. You might have saw it at ILTA. We were doing some demos and stuff. I'm gonna have to see who sent this so I can reach out and say hello and thanks for visiting. Um, Endpoint Inspector will allow you to collect not just mobile phones, um, but chat applications such as WhatsApp and Telegram, workstations, your Linux, your Macs, your Windows machines, but as you mentioned, Android and iPhones. And it's as simple as sending an email to a custodian, whether they be at your corporation, whether you're a law firm and sending it out to a custodian for litigation, or you're that service provider sending out a bunch of these. You can send out an email to your custodian that says, hey, please follow these few easy steps, plug in your phone, walk away. And on the back end, you're going to set what you need to select, whether you're collecting maybe an advanced logical, maybe just a targeted data sets, contacts, calendar, and messages, call logs. You could target your data sets and pull those back. And we're actually doing some stuff with relativity to make that pretty easy for you to review. So, and to answer your question, yes, it is the same kind of collection method for both Android and iPhone. We pull messages, targeted data sets, advanced logicals, and you can save that wherever you need. And love to go over a demo with you if you didn't see it at ILTA.
Awesome. ILTA was fantastic. I know that we had so much activity in our booth. Um, Okay, we have two more questions I think that we can do in terms of timing. So another question around ILTA. With ILTA 2024 in the books, the next big eDiscovery event that we are attending is RelFest Chicago. Will you guys be there, and can you provide demos for everyone interested?
I personally will be at RelFest Chicago. I go almost every year. Our whole team, we have quite the team going this year. I can't say whole team. We will be there. Cellebrite will be there. Come say hi with us. Say hi, hang out. Let's do a demo. Let's set some time to go one-on-one. I'm happy to show you our product. I'm happy to show you how it integrates with some of your favorite review platforms. If you're going to Relativity Fest, you're more than likely a Relativity user. I can show you how it integrates from collecting data on Cellebrite and getting it right to Relativity, and we can get the teams together and collaborate. So yes, I will be there. We have a booth. I'll probably be in a meeting room doing demos. Come say hi. Give me a high five. Looking forward to seeing you.
Awesome. And I will see everyone there as well. Okay, let's see. I think we have time for one more question. And so here we go. We are a law firm. What kind of mobile phone data can we get into review, such as relativity? Anything other than messages, or is it just RSMF?
I love it. You're familiar with RSMF, which is the relativity short message format, um, which honestly kind of was a game changer when it first came out, and I picked it up at that service provider. Everyone needed a good way to get data, just everything in one spot, right? Why do I have mobile phone data here and everything else up in a review? RSMF is a beautiful product. It shows a little bubble views, bubble views for chat messaging, like we spoke about. But RSMF has a limitation. It is only for messages. It has all your metadata behind it, but it's beautiful, but it's only for messages and SMS, MMS, chats, whatever. Using Cellebrite and some of our other tools built into Cellebrite, Physical Analyzer, you can also create load files. Load files are brilliant for maybe non-message data on the phone, or you could use it for your message data, whatever your workflow, whatever your plan says for your data set. But yes, not only can you do RSMF for messaging, you can build a load file for, say, loose documents on the phone. I must admit, I looked, I pulled a menu. Me and my wife were looking at dinner the other day, and I scanned the little QR code, and it downloads a menu to your phone. That's a PDF. That load file would say, what was it? Where was it? How big is it? And the native itself, and you can upload all that into your review platform. So you can double dip. You can get your messages as well as your loose docs.
Perfect. Thank you so much for going through all of that with us, Andy. I cannot tell you how thankful we are for all of your valuable insight today around identifying and addressing not only the current gaps in mobile data collection process, but also for encouraging everyone to build a plan and providing them with strategies on how to optimize mobile data collections. And unfortunately, we are running out of our allotted time here. So we'll wrap this up and we will reach out to you individually after the webinar to answer any of the questions we were not able to get to today. So don't worry. Andy, huge, big shout out to you. Thank you so much for such a
Of
great
course.
discussion.
Thanks for
Now,
having me.
everyone, thank you. And I remember, for any additional questions or to learn on how you can get started with any of our solutions, please feel free to reach out to us at enterprisemarketing@cellebrite.com. Thank you again, Andy, and thank you everyone for attending today. Have a great day.